Welcome back, everybody. Part 2 of our LinkedIn episode where AJ Wilcox, the LinkedIn Ads Pro, is in the house, and I want to hear his 4 rules. Please share your 4 LinkedIn rules for us.
Sounds good. So my 4 rules really come down to basically the 4 ways that you can use the platform. So the first is make sure your profile is good. And this obviously applies to your company page as well, but this is where people come to check you out. So make sure you're proud of that. Number 2 is growing your network. So make sure that you are not just waiting for people to come and find you, but you're filling your network. You're actively inviting the exact kind of people that you want to be connected to long-term. Grow your network. The third is post, get involved, actually share on LinkedIn. And the first part, I talked about how LinkedIn is the easiest network in the world to go viral on. And that's when you post. The trick is that anytime that someone likes, comments, or reshares your post, it then has an opportunity to be seen by that person's whole network, their connections and followers. So that's why it's so easy to go viral on LinkedIn. Just make sure that people are engaging with your posts. They are engaging. And then number 4, the advertising platform. If you are in especially business to business lead gen, trying to get leads from a very specific kind of person, the LinkedIn ads platform is amazing at this. It especially shines for those deals that when you close them, they're really high value. They're worth $10,000, $15,000 or more. Then use LinkedIn ads. Those are my 4 platform usage rules.
I want to explore organic LinkedIn and then also paid LinkedIn. Organic first. It seems that LinkedIn loves a couple features more than others. When I post a normal post, I get a couple hundred eyes. But when I post a poll, there are like 30,000, 40,000 eyes.
Yeah.
Which one are the features that are pushed right now?
Yeah, I think you called it. Polls is the biggest one right now that I could call out. For a little while there, it was lives when very few people had live. And then now, because so many people go live, they don't want to push it anymore. So it's really, if you follow LinkedIn's latest releases, they're always going to give the most attention to whatever they've just recently launched. Polls are also big, especially because I told you that when people engage with a post, with a like, comment, or a share, that it goes viral. It's then seen by that person's audience, and that someone in there could comment, and then it goes to that person's audience, and on and on. But with polls, it's so easy to just vote like yes, A, B, C, D, whatever, yes, no, and every one of those votes acts again like a social engagement. And so then your poll is then being seen by your followers and your followers' followers and your followers' followers' followers. So yeah, right now polls are good, but I would just say there are a lot of polls out there and people are starting to get sick of them. So make sure you actually have a good use for your poll. Like this is data that you're going to then put into a blog post and share, or there's got some kind of an interesting aspect to it. It's not just putting a poll up for the sake of, hey, I know this is going to get a lot of eyeballs.
Getting sick of is a good next question, because everybody has something that they hate on LinkedIn. Oh, I'm getting a message request. Oh, I'm getting this. What have you seen recently that was fresh, interesting, and made actually a good experience for you?
It's kind of the same old stuff. It's when someone posts in a way that it's personal, it's authentic, it's them. It's not like business. It hasn't been reviewed by the legal team before they put it out, or created by a marketing team. Those kinds of posts do really well. I had one post specifically that went viral, and it wasn't my most viral post, but I've been preaching for a long time that on LinkedIn, you want to be personal and authentic and even a little bit vulnerable. And so I considered myself pretty good at math when I was in high school, but it's been lots of years since algebra. And I was playing with numbers for a client's report, and I all of a sudden realized that, if I want to find out my cost per conversion, I can just divide my my conversion rate over my cost per click. And this was a revelation to me. If you're good at algebra, it's so easy to just move those things around and figure out the formula. But I felt dumb. And I was like, my first blush was to say, okay, hide the fact that you just figured something out when you were like 35 years old that you should have known at like 16. But I was like, no, I've been telling people for a long time, be authentic, be vulnerable. And so I did. I posted it and said, I feel really dumb. I just realized something that's going to save me a lot of time in the future, but I should have known this earlier. For anyone who doesn't know, here's the formula. Here's why I use it. And sure enough, I got lots of commenters who were like, yeah, you're right. Like, that's simple algebra. You should have, like, this shouldn't be a surprise to you. But I had lots of other people who said, thanks, that's really helpful. I had never thought of it that way. So be authentic. And it doesn't matter, like, are you using a poll or is it an image or a video? It's be real and be refreshing on this platform that so many people think is just, it's just suit and tie, buttoned up business.
This is what I actually like about the age we live in, and especially the last 2 years, because just so many traditional things are breaking apart, and they were never good in the first place. But now we can directly talk to others and go to the truth, to the real stuff. For example, I had wealth advisors and financial advisors every year, and they were performing really bad. But I had not so much options. And today I just watch some couple YouTubers and they share how they do it. And I'm learning so much more and I'm wasting less money. And so it's so much better. So how can we use LinkedIn for real connection?
I think if you treat it like it's real connection, that's your first step. There are steps in a relationship. When you very first meet someone, it's very superficial, it's very surface. And it's really easy at that point to just say, oh, that person was interesting, but I'm probably never going to see them again. Then sometimes in a relationship, just meeting someone, you're like, they're really cool. I want to hang out with this person more. And then you'll go to lunch or you'll set up a time to chat. And then sometimes in a relationship, you're like, this person is amazing. I get so much from this person. I want them to be a friend, or I want them to be my best friend. And you develop these mutual relationships. LinkedIn is exactly the same way. You could send a connection request to someone and say, hey, you seem cool. I'd love to be connected. And then if you leave it at that, that relationship it's dead. Like when they see your post, they're not even going to remember you. Versus if you purposely, when you're sending these connection requests, you're going out and nurturing those relationships and trying to move them to the next stage. Think of every one of these connection requests as someone who you're going to build your careers together for the rest of your career. It's long-term. That's really the key.
I love it. Now we can go to the paid part, ads. I am using ads only really, really moderately when we hire. And we are hiring a lot right now. So for every role, I give like $10 per day for 3-4 days. And then we get a ton of people, great people. Actually, it's really good. So today we spent $41, got 300 people. And now my team is interviewing them. Yeah, it's really good. $41. 300 applications. How cool is that? And cool. Everybody says it's hard to find talent. Use the right platforms, right? So, yeah. But I've never spent because we're not so serious about LinkedIn. So I've never spent like real ad money. What would be the minimum ad spend, and how to do it right?
So my recommendation is any platform that you're testing, LinkedIn ads or Facebook or Google or whatever, the goal of your initial test should be to find out, is this channel good for me? Does it hold promise for the future, or should I not be advertising? And so my goal is always, I want to spend enough money that the data that I get from it becomes statistically significant. It's enough to convince me that yes, this platform is worth pursuing, or no, it sucks for my business and I should leave. And the limit that I found on LinkedIn is that's about $5,000 if your audience is in North America that you're targeting. That means after you've spent about $5,000, your conversion rates and your costs per conversion in your A/B tests should be statistically significant. And you can say, oh, okay, if I can expect a $68 cost per lead from now on, I could make this channel work. Or it might be $500 and you go, LinkedIn ads isn't for me. So whether it takes you 2 days to spend $5,000 or 6 months, we're obviously going to recommend it on a monthly basis. You want a constant budget, but it's spend that much money. If you have the patience to spend it over a long period of time, great.
How to test things before you decide to go full in. For example, my inspiration was Tim Ferriss when he was looking for how to name his book. He ran a $300, I think, Google campaign with 7 different titles. One had more clicks. He went with that, and that became the 4 hours work week. So it was a great experiment and very well invested $300. Are these times over that you can test something with $300? Do we need now $5,000 to test something?
I haven't used LinkedIn a whole lot for market research like that, just because the costs are higher. To give you an idea, per click on LinkedIn, especially if your audience is in North America, other places in the world, it's going to be significantly less expensive, but you're going to pay like $8 to $12 every time someone clicks on your ad. So in that case, you'd have to have a pretty significant budget to test something like book titles. But we've talked about LinkedIn organically being such a great place to get free views, viral views, viral attention. And so what I would do is if I had something to test, I would probably test it organically and see if I put something out and, let's say I have 1,000 followers on LinkedIn. If I put a post out that gets 2,000 views, I've just gone viral. I had twice as many people see it as follow me or are connected to me. So I would use that as a clue, put something out organically, see how the community likes it, and then maybe take whatever that is, now that I have more confidence, and put it into an ad.
Many people here in the community are writing books, publishing a book. I'm publishing a book right now myself. Have you seen stuff that works on LinkedIn on cool ways to promote a book?
Yeah, pretty much organically. Like you want to pull out snippets of the book that are interesting, that people are going to comment on, and those posts will go viral. I think that's my best advice. For promoting books or for promoting podcasts, I haven't found LinkedIn ads to be a great tool just because the costs are so high, and it's so hard to attribute the money spent per podcast subscriber or podcast episode listener or book purchaser. But even if you could attribute it, the lifetime value of a book purchaser is usually significantly lower than what LinkedIn would charge you for the ads. So I would stay on the organic side. I'd try to promote things, that little snippets that people would find interesting from the book or from the podcast or from a podcast episode.
You are a constant creator and inspirator. Where do you take your inspiration from? Are there specific books or podcasts or YouTube channels that give you inspiration?
Yeah, so I find inspiration in all kinds of different areas of my life. If you're looking for LinkedIn specifically, there's a podcast that I will not miss an episode of, and it's called it's by Mark Williams, and it's called the Linked Informed podcast. He goes really deep into the organic side of LinkedIn, and that's where I learn everything from, is this wonderful podcast. But I find inspiration personally from there's a podcast called The Jordan Harbinger Show, and it's kind of like anti-self-help. He brings on the most interesting guests who teach you about motivation or what am I saying? Oh, sorry. I know this is live. This can't be edited out. I shouldn't be tripping over my thoughts like this. But how to work better with people. It's like self-help, but not in the way that self-help normally is. There's a book that I absolutely love. It's called The Drive Sales System by Woody Woodward. And it goes into how to classify people into 5 different categories and how you can very quickly decide who fits in each category. And it will tell you what their motivation style is. So if you're trying to sell to that person, what do they value? So you know to lead with that. If you want them to be a friend, what do they care about? So I love that book. Those are kind of where I'm finding inspiration right now.
Super cool. And what's next for you? What are you excited about looking forward?
The big things for me right now are kind of the courses that I was talking about and the greater tool that we're going to be creating. There's a friend of mine named Larry Kim, and he's really, really well known for Facebook and Google ads. And years and years and years ago, he started a really big agency that sold for like $150 million. But he founded the whole agency based off of a greater tool for Google. And he told me years ago at dinner, when I was visiting him in Boston, he's like, hey, you really should do this with LinkedIn. And I was like, yeah, I have a lot of other priorities on my plate, but I finally took him up on it, and I'm really excited to launch it for that reason.
So cool. And AJ, where can people find you?
I'm pretty easy to find. If you search for just AJ Wilcox on LinkedIn, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one or one of the very few, and should be pretty easy to find. If you want to connect with me, make sure you'll see a follow button. But if you want to connect, I'd love to connect with you. You just have to click the more menu and make sure to personalize the invite and tell me you heard me on Simon's show, because I only accept invites from people that I know, like I know them or I know why they're connecting. And if you've heard me on the show, I would love to connect with you.
Oh yeah, that's the new feature, right? The creator mode, where you cannot just connect, you have to follow. What's the difference? Connect, follow. What's your take on this?
Oh, such a good question. Okay, so on LinkedIn, when you connect with someone, that's you sending a connection request or them sending a connection request to you and the other party approving it. So you're basically saying mutually, yes, we both want to be connected together. So that's a connection. When you're connected, you can send free messages back and forth, unlimited. And that's the big draw there. But if you're not that close to someone, you don't want to be able to message them, maybe you're just interested in their content, either party can just hit follow. And it means we're not going to show up as connections. We won't be able to message, but every time that you post something, I should be able to see it. And I want to follow your content, your thought leadership. So that's the difference.
I love this. AJ, who should be my next guest?
Ooh, I've got a good one for you. There's a man by the name of Raul Hernandez Ochoa, and he's a business process genius. I've been friends with him for a while, and then I even hired him to be a growth advisor for us at our company. And he has his own podcast. It's the Do Good Work podcast, or the Do Good Work show, and he's great at processes, at growth, and I think he'd be an awesome next guest.
Oh yes, and his name sounds like music already. Beautiful.
Yes.
And thank you, AJ. AJ Wilcox, everybody. Thank you for sharing your superpowers, your wisdom with us. Please keep rolling, man.
Hey, if you love what you are hearing, you will love our free masterclasses. Go grab them at strategysprints.com. Avoid trying to do thousands of things that doesn't work. We have 274 templates for your business success. Reach your ambitious goals with one-on-one sprint coach. We double your revenue in 90 days.